Hi, Gerard Kelly here from the Bless.network, and this is the More Than Before Challenge. We're seeking to raise £45,000 in funding to enable us to end this year in a good place and to take advantage of all the opportunities that God is opening up for us in the future. We've come out of this season of pandemic, this season of lockdown, with an extraordinary sense of expectation of what God is doing and will do in the future. Join us in establishing the platform from which Bless can move into all that God has for the future.
The Bless Network exists to explore and express the way of Jesus by activating the values of his kingdom in the cultures of Europe.
The first of our core values is the value of worship. We choose to give ourselves to the pursuit of the presence of God. And the symbol we use to explore this value is the symbol of the tent. When the people of Israel crossed the desert, when they came out of Egypt, out of slavery, and were heading for the promised land, the most important thing that they had to do was to establish this tabernacle, this tent, at the center of their journey. It was the tent in which God met with them. God said much later to David, when David was praying about building a temple, he heard God say to him, "My home has always been in a tent." And the idea was that this tent traveled, the presence of God traveled with them wherever they go. And it's probably the best picture we can have of what it means for the presence of God to be at the center of our lives. In the midst of their journey, in the midst of all the noise and chaos, there was this beautiful space of worship. And they commissioned the best artists they had to make it a place of beauty. And worship is making that place central to our lives. Worship is about saying at the center of my experience is the place where I meet with God. It's about intimacy. It's about being present to God. And the book of Exodus, it gives us an intriguing puzzle really, because one of the sub-themes of the book is that God is the God of the whole earth. He's the God of creation. He has authority over the sea. He's the God of Pharaoh, of Egypt, of the promised land. He is literally everywhere. There is no place where we can go where God is not present. So if God is present everywhere, why do we speak about his presence in worship? And the answer, of course, is that worship is where we make ourselves present to him. It's where we take time out and get rid of distraction to be present to him. And that is the experience that we put at the center of our lives. For us, any endeavor of the kingdom, any attempt to build or extend or express the kingdom has to be centered on the fact that at the very midpoint of our lives, right in the middle of it, there is this desire to be present to the presence of God. Worship is literally the center of all that we do.
When I think back over about 20 years now of life in Bless, I realise that worship has always been a very, very key and important part of how we live our faith life, how we express it. And I think we've had this long journey of just learning how worship changes atmospheres, softens hearts, reveals the Father's heart to us and gives us direction and guidance as to what we do and how we do it. So worship has always been very key, and I think back in the early days when we were in Croatia and working in some areas, tough areas, where we were learning to press in and find the Father's heart and find out what was on his heart for that particular area. Worship has been a very, very powerful experience for us all. But now, I think where we are now even, God is blessing us with wonderful worship spaces and worshippers who come in and build our church with us, and those within our local church who are learning to worship in a deeper way and find the Father's heart for their own lives, but also for what he's doing in our city and the cities around us. So worship is very key to us in Bless. It's a lifelong journey really of learning how to press in even in tough and hard circumstances and understand what's on the heart, maybe in a deeper way understand what's on the heart of God and pursue it with our life and with our hearts, with our minds, with our strengths and with our weaknesses, to really press in and lean in to Jesus, to the Spirit. And I think also our longing is that people will learn how to work this out in their lifestyle, in their day-to-day. How do we learn to be worshippers in the workplace? How do we learn to be those worshippers with our friends and in our communities?
We want to thank you for your participation with us, for your love and support and partnership. May you know the presence of the Father as you walk through his world. May you know that Jesus is your brother and companion. May you know the Holy Spirit touching you, shaping you, informing your every move. May you live with his presence in your life. Amen.